Welcome you back to Talladega Superspeedway. Lots of pressure, lots of drama. It's always that way here at Talladega, but it's all kind of ramped up a whole lot more this afternoon.
Plain and simple today. We know what we need to do. Let's do it. Simple.
It is the third race in round one of the chase, and it's an elimination race.
And this is sudden death here.
Start your engine!
And if they do pile up, a massive crash develops.
Oh yeah, you can feel the excitement. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series from Talladega. It's the playoffs and the final race in round one, an elimination race. The championship contenders will go from 8 to 6 at the end of the day today. Great to have you with us, along with Michael Waltrip and Kevin Harvick. I'm Vince Welch. Downstairs, it's Phil Parsons, Hermie Sadler, and Caitlin Vincey. Hello, Caitlin.
Hello, Vince. Well, earlier you guys were talking about drivers who can play the role of a playoff spoiler. One of them could be Grant Enfinger. He's a hometown guy from nearby Fairhope, Alabama. Won this race last year here at Talladega. That was his first career Truck Series win. I talked to him earlier. Feels really good about the piece they've brought this weekend. Said it performed very well in the draft and practice yesterday. He is hoping he can get another victory here today. Hermie?
Well, Caitlin, Matt Crafton is a champion in this series, but he has never won a super speedway race at Daytona or Talladega. Take a look back to February at Daytona. It looked like Crafton was finally in position to get a victory. Inside, he gets clipped by the 27. This truck goes up in the air, down on all four wheels. Boom, right there. But I tell you, that truck is the same truck they fixed and brought here to Talladega. Now, in years past, Crafton's strategy at this racetrack is fall to the back, wait for the wreck, try to miss it, and get a good finish or for a shot at victory at the end. But they know today, with stage points on the line, they have to be aggressive, and they have to be aggressive from the drop of the green flag. Vince?
Well, the dynamic of stage racing has really changed how these teams approach this race here today. Take a look at our Camping World track description. It is a special place, Mike.
Yeah, I just say wow when I think of Talladega. 2.66 miles. We're going to go in excess of 190 miles an hour down these 4,300-foot straightaways. And guess what? We're not going to slow down any when we get to the corners either.
And our Camping World race analysis?
Well, as we look at our race analysis, this is just a big old place, and it's a relatively short race. 94 laps, 250.04 miles, and 3 stages. I think that's the biggest thing that probably pops up on the screen that we haven't seen before, because those stages are short, and our pit window is 34 to 36 laps.
Every time we come here, Vince, we talk about you lay back, you take it easy. We haven't said that once today.
No taking it easy today, that's for sure, as we take a look at our starting lineup. The pole winner has won here at Talladega 3 times before. Christopher Bell hopes he adds his name to that list today. Stuart Friesen there in the second row. Chase Briscoe and Austin Cindric, the Brad Keselowski racing teammates, in row 3. And right on through the field, there's driver after driver after driver who hopes to become a winner at Talladega.
And driver after driver after driver who can win here today at Talladega, because this place opens itself up to just the unexpected, and the pack racing lets anybody have a chance.
You guys have both won here at Talladega before. More special to win a race at Talladega?
To me, it always was, because I grew up in Kentucky, and when I was 6 or 8 years old, I would come to Talladega to watch my brother race, and this was like the biggest, most macho track in the world. You know, the highest banks, the fastest speeds. I always wanted to conquer this place. Unfortunately, I was able to do it one time.
Take a look at our onboard cameras that you're going to be getting a unique perspective today.
There's Kaz Grala. You talked about his issues in qualifying. He'll drop to the back. Let's see if we can get a word with Kaz. He's going to start his stealth Chevy from the 12th position. Hey, Kaz Grala, it's Michael Waltrip and Harvick up in the booth. Do you copy?
I hear you, Mike.
Man, you got it stacked up against you going to the back. You and your spotter, Eddie, got a plan to get you to the front before this first stage is up?
Yeah, our plan is going to the front, so we're gonna have to do that however possible. Hopefully we're able to make it happen. We've only got 20 laps, so we'll have to be up on the wheel right from the start.
Take them 3, 4 wide and go for it. We'll talk to you later, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah, here we see our next in-car camera here with the number 88 of Matt Crafton carrying the Toyota onboard camera, starting 11th today.
Check this view out. We're on the helmet of Myatt Snyder. He's going to start from the 9th position in his Louisiana Hot Sauce Toyota. This is going to be an awesome view. Watching the driver have to have 360 vision. You see the mirror up in the right-hand corner of the screen? That's going to be his best friend today. He's going to watch out that mirror as much as he does his windshield.
Driving the LTI Printing Ford today is Austin Cindric, who's starting 6th.
Cindric, a winner earlier this season in Canada on the road course, earned himself an opportunity to get into the playoffs, and now he's going to try to advance to the round of 6 with a strong performance today. Let's hear from some of the crew chiefs that are going to be biting their nails a little bit this afternoon. Hermie?
One of those is going to be Jerry Baxter. Vince, he's a crew chief for Cas Gralla. You have to start at the back of the field for this race. You're 8 points out of the cutoff for the playoffs. How can you, as an experienced crew chief, help your driver get it done today?
Well, I just told him, 94 laps, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's quite a ways. And, things happen so fast around here, so much going on all the time. I just told him don't take no chances at the beginning. Just be patient with it and let Eddie DeHunt guide him through there. He's a really good spotter. So we'll see what happens from there. But I do got to say that the Stealth folks letting us put this breast cancer paint job on, pretty cool. So my sister Cheryl, she's dealt with it for a while, and, I'm pretty happy.
That's Jerry Baxter. Caitlin?
Hermie, Jerry Kennan is the crew chief for John Hunter Nemechek. Another team below the cut line, maybe not the qualifying effort you'd wanted, so how aggressive will you be right from the start of this race?
Well, we're going to let it start here and maybe go a lap or two and see kind of shaking out, give some cats up front, not as much experience. And the thing is, we got to be here the whole time, so we're going to be cautious here to get go, but then we're going to let it go, because if we got nothing to lose, we're going to try to win it all.
Good luck to you. Phil?
Doug Randolph, your driver, Austin Cindric, is 8 points above the cut line right now, but arguably less experienced here than any other driver. He got taken out of Daytona on the first lap. How do you deal with that?
Well, he's done a fine job in practice. He's done a fine job getting better and better all year. Team BKR has done an excellent job getting us some really good starting spots here, and it's just going to be a matter of scoring some points in these segments.
All right, Doug, good luck today.
Thank you.
Back to you, Vince.
Thank you, Phil. And as they're lined up and they're getting ready to come to green, remember, stage 1, just 20 laps, points available with each stage. And here's just a reminder of the playoff leaderboard. We heard from Doug Randolph, the crew chief of Austin Cindric. His driver is on the bubble, and we heard from the 2 crew chiefs whose drivers are below the cut line. And you need a point swing today. Is Talladega the right place to be if you need a big point swing?
Heck yeah, you can go out and make something special happen. A lot of times after practice, you can pick 2 or 3 trucks who might be the favorite to win in a NASCAR truck race. Not here at Talladega. There's 20, 25 trucks that think they're going to be able to pull into victory lane. That's the kind of swing a couple of our racers need today.
Now the pace truck is off, and the trucks are lined up and ready. The playoff elimination race, round 1 of the playoffs. Christopher Bell, the pole winner, on the inside. Johnny Sauter on the outside. And the green waves. We are racing at Talladega. Bell to the point, but side by side, all the way back through the field.
And you saw that gap come between the 4 truck and the 52 truck, and that top lane was already formed up, and they were able to make up some ground because it pulled Christopher Bell back. And now you see the 21 and the 24 slide down in front, but that was the bottom line did not go because of the fact that the 4 left and had a gap between the 4 and the 52.
And the 24 and the 21 are teammates, and that's part of their plan. Get to the front, run that bottom line, and try to hold the field off. Unfortunately for them, everybody else has a differing plan.
How big is the teammate dynamic here at Talladega?
It's huge early in the race, Vince, but Kevin, do you agree? Stage racing has changed that. You've got to go out and get something done for your guys, for the guys that work specifically on your truck and your sponsors. You've got to be dedicated to try to get the victory on your own.
Well, the one thing I can say about team racing here is you have the 21 who is in the playoffs, and you have the 24 behind him who is not in the playoffs. So, you know, you're goal as a teammate who, when you're not in the playoffs, is to obviously go out and try to win a race, but you want to be a teammate and try to get the best result they can, and that is by collecting points and hopefully a win.
Kevin, remember that 24 truck of Justin Haley was not old enough to race this race at Daytona, but he did come here and win the ARCA race. He's got a great experience going to victory lane here. He should be a lot of help to Johnny Sauter.
And that's very true. And when you're Johnny Sauter and you see your teammate in your mirror, you have a little bit more comfort than you probably would seeing a guy from a different team or a guy who's trying to win the race. And especially in Johnny's case, he's got a teammate behind him that isn't in the playoffs, and he knows the ultimate goal for his GMS team is to win the championship.
Sauter, the only one of the 8 playoff drivers who has a win here at Talladega.
You can see Casgrala is still back in the pack. That just tells you how tough it is to pass. He had one of the fastest trucks here in practice yesterday, but he's only made it up to the 22nd position, and quite frankly, there just isn't anywhere to go at times. He could swing out and go 3 wide, but without the draft, he wouldn't have enough speed to pass these other trucks.
Well, the worst thing he wants to see at this particular point is everything that he sees in front of him, and that's a single file line. Because where you want to be on the racetrack at this particular point of the race is on the bottom of the racetrack, and everybody is in a single file line except for these couple 2 or 3 trucks on the outside of him, but he's not going anywhere.
And I can promise you, Vince, this life ain't for everybody. I mean, this is 190 mile an hour dicing. It's a chess match. You got to be mentally sharp, mentally perfect all day long, and then the physical challenges of running around this racetrack as well. It's just really a tough task today.
Single file along the inside, a couple of them on the outside. Riding on board here with Myatt Snyder, and it looks like the truck is really moving around a lot, as we see from this visor cam. Do you feel all that movement as you sit in the seat as a driver?
Well, you do, and the reason that you feel it the most is because your head has about, I don't know, maybe a ½ inch of movement, maybe an inch of movement between the padding on both sides. So every time it hits one of those bumps, because the suspension is really stiff in the trucks, your head bounces off the headrest. So if you can imagine driving down the road with your head bouncing back and forth off of something and trying to drive straight, look in the mirror, and do all the things that you're doing inside this truck, it becomes a big challenge. Phil?
Guys, remember we had a couple issues during qualifying of this new flap coming up on these trucks, and they really felt like it hurt them. Here's Austin Cindric riding around towards the back of the pack, and you can obviously see that his flap right there is up. So they need to address that when it comes to pit road, but there's only so many things they can do. They cannot take that down. They have to either repair it or take it off, and taking it off is a problem as well.
That's a great view from high up above of how that flap, each of the bed of the truck, each truck has 4 of those flaps that have been put in just specifically for this race here at Talladega. It's the first time they've been used, and the purpose is that if the trucks get sideways and the air gets them, the trucks can sometimes have a tendency to get up in the air, and these flaps help keep the truck on the ground.
Well, the one thing I can say, Mike, and you tell me if I'm wrong here, but it looks like that flap is further forward than some of the trucks that we saw in qualifying. And the reason I bring that up is if it kind of gets stuck halfway up, it almost acts like another spoiler and kind of slows the truck down. But when you see that flap up on the 19 truck, it almost is in a spot where it's dead air. And I know aerodynamics are we got some smoke out of the 29 there.
That's Chase Briscoe, and he's one of our playoff drivers.
I'll keep you posted if it gets worse here. Just keep your eye on your gauges right there. Let me know.
And we're riding along with Myatt Snyder, and there's no oil getting on Snyder's windshield at this point. So that has all the signs of an oil leak, maybe a loose line under the hood. What do you see, Kevin?
Yeah, it definitely looks like it has some sort of obviously slight oil leak that would be a result of a loose line or something, but we don't see any oil on the windshield, so it's really hard to tell. Sometimes there's heat shields and things that catch on fire or start to burn up underneath the truck. So we'll have to just see if that gets worse or fixes itself.
Yeah,
wow,
oh, man. Yeah,
okay.
That's bad. There's a camera on the one behind us. Real bad.
Well, isn't that disconcerting when you know the truck in front of you is losing fluid and you're driving through it?
Yeah, and I think right now
Come on up to the high side here. They're posting us. We're going to take them onto the high side here.
Yeah, so NASCAR recognized that it was a tremendous amount of oil from this camera, and they know that he has to come in and fix it.
You know, Kevin, you were talking about your head bouncing around in the seat and all the things you're dealing with. Well, now Mike Snyder can't see. Let's add that to it at 190 miles an hour. His windshield probably picked up enough oil to where now when the dust and speedy dry get on that windshield, he's going to have a hard time seeing.
Disaster for the 29 of Chase Briscoe, because he is a driver that really needed to have a good day today. Came into this race just 10 points to the good in the playoff picture, and now he's going to have to go to the garage, probably ending his hopes to be one of those 6 drivers that advance to the next round of the playoffs.
Wow, that's devastating. You know, the kid worried about, was he going to get in the big one? He's had such a solid season with very little experience in these NASCAR big vehicles, and he's done a great job, but today it looks like it's all going to come to an end for his playoff hopes.
Briscoe has been runner-up 3 times, the only one of the 8 playoff drivers that doesn't have a victory. He was hoping that he would get his first here today at Talladega, but it's not going to happen.
The all-new 2018 Camry. Toyota. Let's go places.
Yeah.
A triangle solo? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much money Sam and Joanna saved by switching to Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
First, it's a 5-letter place where a million things are at stake. It's the spot where the target on your back is biggest. But it's the only position you want to be in. In these playoffs, if at first you don't succeed, you just drive like hell till you do. For NASCAR playoff updates, down to the lap information, and more NASCAR news, visit NASCAR.com/playoffs on any device today.
Why doesn't Ohio State put a logo on their helmets? Because they'd rather cover it with your misery. Block by block. Hit by hit. Score by score. Football is art, and the helmet is their canvas. I'll tell you why Ohio State doesn't put a logo on their helmets. Because it would get in the way of their masterpiece.
We've been dominating week in and week out.
Christopher Bell, he closes the door with a dominating performance. Johnny Sauter, the defending series champion, is out front in the final race in round 1 of the playoffs. It's an elimination race, and already a big development regarding our championship contenders. Chase Briscoe, who came into this race today 6th in points, and he in fact is make that 5th in points. He is in the garage. Major issue, Caitlin.
Obviously, things are already not going according to plan for the 29 team. All hands on deck, all the road crew mechanics here taking a look. Team owner Brad Keselowski also over here. I heard crew chief Mike Hillman Jr. say, change the radio in every front line we can, do it as quickly as possible.
Well, and as Caitlin mentioned, Brad Keselowski, the owner of this BKR team, and it was an engine problem for Keselowski last year in the Cup Series that cost him in this at this racetrack at Talladega in the playoffs and eliminated him from championship contention. And today it happens to one of his truck drivers. Close call there, the 13 of Cody Coughlin and the 83 of Spencer Boyd.
Wow, that's lap traffic, Vince. These guys have already caught the back of the field, and you can see how these trucks move around. And anytime you have to change your plan, Kevin, they were running around the bottom of the racetrack. They had to move up, go 3 wide around some lappers. That gets a little tense.
Yeah, it does get tense, and a lot of times that's what causes the big wrecks, is when the line has to move and break up and starts to move around. We see the 18 coming to pit road.
So Noah Gregson with an issue as well, or are they trying a little different strategy play here, Mike? It's got to be an issue, right?
Yeah, it's an issue. I heard him say 4 tires. He must have a vibration maybe that has developed on the 18 truck. He's gonna more than likely lose a lap. Even if he gets in and out of the pits without losing one, Hermie, he'll lose it when he goes back to the track.
Thinks he has a flat on the right side, but not completely sure, so they're going to take 4 tires on the 18. And Noah Gregson is sick, under the weather. He took an IV right before the race started. Eric Jones is on standby for the 18 if he needs it, but a tremendous setback, unscheduled pit stop for the 18.
So Noah Gregson, who Hermie said has been ill throughout the course of the weekend, and having to come to pit road this early in the race isn't making him feel any better either. And there went the leaders by, putting him a lap down.
You can see up high on the track, the truck started to get a little bit loose. He wisely backed out of the gas and rolled up high. See if you can see the black truck up on the right. Just right there. I mean, that's at 190 miles an hour. Starts wiggling around like that. The kid recognized he had an issue.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much here. I mean, if a wheel weight comes off the wheel, and the truck will immediately start vibrating, and the more you load it up in the corners, the more things get worse. So it's a fast place.
Moving through stage 1. Only 6 laps remaining in the first stage. We'll have the finish when we come back. The 19 of Austin Cindric in for his first stop with just a couple of laps to go here in stage 1.
Cindric elected to give up stage points, get some gas.
And the 29 of Chase Briscoe, after had those initial problems, is back out on track, Caitlin.
Yeah, and I just spoke with representatives from Roush Yates Engines. He said it was a pinched O-ring on the valve cover, but mechanically the engine is fine. Obviously just been detrimental for losing laps on track for that 2019, guys.
Oh, and an issue. Caution is out. There's the 33 of Grala, one of our championship contenders, and he's got a big hit in the front. So already 2 of our championship contenders with major issues today. Phil.
Yeah, the 19 of Austin Cindric came down pit road, and I think it was a great call by crew chief Doug Randolph, because they didn't look like they were going to get any stage points. They came in, all they did was top it off with fuel, pushed a flat back down. I've asked if they were going to come in and pit when the stage ends, and nobody has told me yet. They don't know yet.
I would guess they would stay outfield, try to grab some track position and be set to run to the next stage break and grab some points in that one. I like you, I love that call. That has every look of having an issue. Somebody maybe. Oh, Cody Coughlin got high.
That's the 47 of Chris Fontaine.
Fontaine saves his truck and heads to pit road. I don't know who Kaz got into. Maybe hit from behind as he checked up. It looks like he shoved into the outside wall.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if he just got. Yeah, he just got up the racetrack right there and then tried to come back down, and Fontaine was there.
Yeah, it looked like maybe the 16 of Ryan Truex hit Kaz in the back, knocked him into the wall. For some reason, it looked like the 27 of Ben Rhodes lost his momentum there. Probably let off when he saw the contact between the 2 trucks ahead, and just Kaz was in the wrong place at the wrong time. There was nothing he could do there, just got hit from behind.
Heartbreaker for the 33 of Grala. Right on board with him here.
It's across the board, see what happens. Down. And we're ready.
Chain reaction.
Chain reaction, yeah. Once they check up right there, everybody's coming up off the corner, and it just gets worse as you go back in the line.
There's the damage on the 16 of Ryan Truex, another one of those drivers hoping to get his first career win here today. So Kaz Grala showed speed in qualifying. In fact, a lot of people in the garage talking about maybe he was one of those we thought might have the poles caliber speed in that 33 in qualifying, but they had an issue in qualifying, had to start the race at the back, and now the accident that ends his day and his championship hopes.
And for you kids watching at home, this is a great example of why we don't tailgate.
That's right.
You tailgate, you have issues. It looked like Cody Coughlin swung a little bit wide, got loose. The other trucks backed off the gas. No one could see where they were going. Subsequently, they all wrecked.
Some of the damage on the 27 of Ben Rhodes, also our winner most recently at Las Vegas.
They'll need to tape that up, Vince. So timely caution here at the end of the stage so they can go to work on that 27 truck and get him back in the game. I don't think that's enough damage where he can't still win this race when they make the repairs on pit road.
No, I think his damage is definitely less than the 16 of Ryan Truex had there. I think that'll definitely affect his speed.
Well, certainly big for Johnny Sauter, who wins stage 1 and not only gets that playoff point, but gets stage points to go along with it. Johnny Sauter, the stage 1 winner at Talladega. Welcome back to the Fred's Pharmacy 250, powered by Coca-Cola. Talladega Superspeedway, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series playoff race number 3. It's the final race of round 1 of the playoffs. Well, let's find out how the spotters are helping the drivers worry a little bit less. Spotter coverage brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Keep learning while we're in line here. You know, drag just before the break, kind of back up to that 52, see how it pulls up, how you time your momentum, get all that stuff rolling there. Just keep learning while we're here.
Driver Christopher Bell, his spotter, Tony Hirschman.
Now, there's their spotters. Obviously, they're helping their drivers worry less. I wish one of them could make me worry less. I'm so sure that something's going to go wrong at this racetrack. It just really sets me on the edge. But Kevin, how important is that for Christopher Bell to learn those lessons while you think he's just riding in line with the pack, but he's actually seeing how he can position himself with the other trucks to get a run to make a pass?
Well, it's a constant evolution as we go throughout the race of what you can do, what you can't do, and get that timing down to try to figure out how to pass people.
You see Johnny Sauter, our stage 1 winner, and the points that come along with the stage 1 results. Christopher Bell there in the 4, of course, already a winner in the playoffs. Matt Crafton in there as well, as is John Hunter Nemechek. They're coming to pit road. Johnny Sauter leading the way, then Justin Haley, Christopher Bell, Stuart Friesen, Myatt Snyder, Matt Crafton.
Well, Justin Haley is not a playoff contender, and his crew chief Kevin Bellicourt told me that allows them to be extraordinarily aggressive to go after this race win here today. So far, they're pretty happy with that truck. Just reminding his driver to not speed, don't slide your tires. Hermie.
Johnny Sauter has a brand new truck. Wins stage 1. It's fuel only for the 21. He's down on the way. The 4 truck of Christopher Bell, left side tires on the 4 of Bell.
What do you think about that, Mike, in the regards to some not taking tires and Bell taking left sides?
If my truck was handling good, I don't need any tires. Just get me that track position. Get me back out in front of this field. Now, with the 27 of Ben Rhodes, we saw that damage on the front. This team needs to make a plan and execute that plan so that he can contend for this win later.
If there's good news for Ben Rhodes as you look at that damage, it's that he won our most recent race at Las Vegas. He is already secured into the next round of the playoffs. So it's not disastrous for Rhodes by any stretch. Well, it's off to a great start for Johnny Sauter. He's our stage 1 winner, Kevin.
Johnny Sauter, Kevin Harvick up in the Fox booth. Great job on that first stage there. But we want to know how much of a distraction for you when you look in your mirror, because we know how important that mirror is to keep your track position, is that flap when it comes up.
Well, 24 teammate GMS truck gave me a good push there. That ultimately we got us our Allegiant Travel Chevy in the lead, but you can't see anything. Honestly, I can't see anything when that flaps up. So I just told Tab, I said, listen, you know the deal, I can't see. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but if it pops up again, be in the same predicament.
Well, I think you're probably in the same category as I am. You can't see as well as you used to anyway, so just keep that thing going forward. But when you have your teammate behind you, how much more comfort does that give you to know you can not have to worry about playing as much defense when he's back there?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously really comfortable. Obviously, we all got Hendrick horsepower, which never hurt, and all of our trucks have been super fast down here all weekend. So, but it's good. You can expect a push when you need a push, and hopefully don't get a push when you don't want one. So It's all good. That's why we're here, and we're going to try to work together so at least one of us has a shot to win this race.
All right, man. Thanks for talking to us. Good luck.
10-4, thanks.
Seemed pretty calm, didn't he?
Forgot being able to see.
Great stuff from Johnny Sauter. Stage 2 when we return. Aerial coverage today brought to you by Jegs. What a great view it is of this massive facility. 3,000 acres, over 1,000 acres of camping alone for the fans here at Talladega.
That's a good Saturday afternoon for me right there. This place is massive and it's awesome.
Well, one of our championship contenders is already out, and that's his truck. It's the 33 of Kaz Gralla.
Yeah, guys, Kaz Gralla, how heartbroken are you right now?
That's a tough one. I mean, my team and all the Hendrick guys worked really hard to change that motor and get us back out there. And from what I could tell, I still felt like we were the fastest truck out there. We made a lot of good moves. We were in position to get stage points in stage 1, which was pretty unbelievable. Yeah, I missed the beginning of it right there, but I'm not quite sure what happened, but everything checked up ahead of me. I slowed down. I think I was going to miss it, and the truck behind me didn't get slowed down fast enough and turned us up into the wall, ending our day. So I think that's the end of our championship hopes, unfortunately, which is tough to take because I felt like we really came alive this latter part of the season. I think we would have been a contender, but I feel like we did a good job in stage 1 for what was in our control, so I'm proud of that, my guys.
You had a great season so far, and we still have several more races left, so don't give up, bud.
Oh, no. We're going to be digging.
Thanks, Kaz.
Well, that's Kaz Gralla, one of our championship contenders who is now out as you look at the leaderboard as they run now. And Johnny Sauter, our race leader, feeling pretty good about that plus 60 on the board.
And remember the strategy by Austin Cindric's team to get into the pits before the stage ended. He's going to restart first.
Cindric inside, Sauter outside. That's Sauter's teammate, Justin Bell, right behind him in row 2. Matt Crafton on the inside of the second row. Stage 2 underway at Talladega.
Great start by Johnny Sauter on the outside. He had to anticipate when Cindric in the 19 truck was going to go. He did that perfectly. He's lined up with his teammate, Justin Haley, right on his bumper. Can they push to the front again?
And there you go. That's all about that timing of how much you can push each other without staying attached too long so that NASCAR gives you a penalty. So you see the 24 of Haley and the 21 push themselves out in front again.
That's a great point, Kevin, because you can't lock on to that bumper of the truck in front of you because if you push too long, that is a penalty. Is that difficult to do, to just keep that little bit of space between the two vehicles?
It is. It's very difficult because basically you latch on and you have to drag the brake to pull yourself off that truck in front of you, because when these trucks get really close to each other, they're like magnets. They want to be bumper to bumper. So you have to use the brakes to pull yourself back, and then you let off the brake and it pulls you back forward. So it's almost like a bump on, bump off.
And watch the flap on the bed of the 21. It pops up right there. Just the change of the air pressure from the truck behind him pushing on him opened up that flap. That flap is there. The same thing for the 19. Those flaps are there to get air out from underneath the trucks in case they spin around so they don't go up in the air. And the air is just moving those flaps open and close.
I thought it was interesting that Johnny Sauter told you, Kevin, when you interviewed him there, that he couldn't see anything out the back of the truck when that flap comes up. When you're racing these super speedways, you look out the back as much as you look out the front, right? I mean, that's going to be a huge impact.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. And basically, you know, you want to be on defense as much as you are on offense. And part of that defense when you're inside the truck as the driver is to look in that mirror and try to anticipate and see where that truck behind you is going. So you have to use the mirror a lot. And, you know, Johnny is definitely in a good position. But here's why we have all those flaps. In Daytona, we had a huge wreck, and you'll see Matt Crafton in the 88 get flipped over. And what NASCAR has done is put all these flaps in the bed to try to create these trucks from flipping over.
And that's a great shot of how dramatic things can get in one of these truck races. A big flip on the last lap at Daytona. Everybody walked away, and NASCAR walked to the wind tunnel and said, we got to figure out how to keep these trucks on the ground. That's why we have all these panels on the back of the bed of the trucks to get that air from out underneath of there.
On board with Myatt Snyder running third.
things got dicey there in that pack. You saw Snyder up the track a bit. Man, I love this shot. You're able to see just what this young man's seeing as he looks out the windshield of his Toyota.
And one of the very unique things about truck racing, for all of you that haven't seen a truck race or don't watch truck racing very often, we have a vast variety of experience in this field, and you see the 13 truck moving around right there. He's a very young driver, and you see the 52 truck. He's an old dirt racer, ice freezing there. So you'll see trucks moving around, and you'll see guys that hold a straight line, and you'll see guys that pull out of line when they shouldn't. But there's a wide variety of experienced drivers to very inexperienced drivers.
Well, another one of the drivers who's out today is Ryan Truex. Phil?
Yeah, Ryan, it looked like he really didn't have any time to react in that earlier incident.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened. I haven't seen a replay. Yeah, when you're on somebody's bumper, you don't have time to react. And I looked up, and he said there was a wreck, and I was already in it. So it's tough for Bass Pro Shops. I want to thank them and Johnny Morris for jumping on, and TRD, Toyota, everybody that makes this deal possible. We had a good truck. I felt like I had the outside lane working for a little bit there, and it kind of just got strung out. And just trying to make it to the end of the stage. But it's Talladega, it happens sometimes.
Go get him in Martinsville.
Thanks.
You know, and I agree. Oh, there's the push you talked about. That was the 75 of Kligerman.
Into the back end of the 8 of John Hunter Nemechek, who right now is the driver on the bubble in the championship standings.
John Hunter says, I don't need that. Now look at the run for Enfinger. He saw a chance to hop to the outside. He drove up on the outside of Cody Coughlin. He's got some help from behind with John Hunter. He's going to try to make a go of this outside lane.
And you see Parker Kligerman in the 75 there. He's offset to the right side of the bumper of John Hunter Nemechek, and the corners are a really tough place to bump draft, and especially you know, if you're offline like that. But he kind of got him just at the wrong spot right there and about turned him around. And you see that flap come up again. I know the flap's been a lot of the conversation, but when those trucks get bumper to bumper like that, basically it shoves the air underneath the truck and straight out the top.
How difficult is it to get that momentum moving enough to where you can really gain ground on that outside lane?
Well, it's tough, and I think a lot of it comes from the guy that's leading this outside lane, and you see the third truck back starting to creep up on the 8 truck there, and that'll really start to make the line move forward. Anytime you see a gap, that's a weak link in the chain, and you're going to lose time. But you have to be very aggressive as you see these trucks moving around in order to progress forward. The front truck needs to side draft. Like that 98 truck should be should have been on the side of that 52 truck while these trucks were behind him. And John Hunter in the 8 moved down on the bottom because he saw there was no progress right there.
And why is it so important? Why are they being so aggressive? We only have 8 laps left in this stage. There's points out there. You've got to go get that position.
Yeah, more than halfway through stage 2. Our stage 1 winner was Johnny Sauter, our defending series champ, and he continues to lead at Talladega. Astros won the opener 2-1, and the playoffs have been so exciting this season. And a lot of excitement and drama here at Talladega for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. The final race in round 1 of the playoffs, elimination race, and we've already seen some bad luck strike. Kaz Gralla, heavy wreck and damage to the garage, done for the day. He's not going to advance to the next round. And Chase Briscoe had a mechanical problem, also went to the garage, lost 10 laps, but it doesn't mean he's not going to be able to somehow make his way into the next round, Mike.
Yeah, he's racing for a chance to see if something happens, something goes wrong with John Hunter Nemechek. He's right back in the game. Even a bad finish, you know, 20 trucks running at the end of the race. If John Hunter Nemechek gets a bad finish, it could be enough to prepare playoffs. I like what I'm seeing back there with that outside line. We're just seeing truck after truck go up there and give it a whirl. And John Hunter Nemechek at the front of the line with Grant Enfinger behind him in that yellow truck, they are making the most progress I've seen lately. They've been able to charge up to the outside, gaining some positions, and there's only 3 laps to go in this stage.
And John Hunter Nemechek in the 8 truck leading that outside line did what Grant Enfinger should have done. He side drafted that truck of Stuart Friesen on the inside. He's trying to keep the front of his truck right to the side of the 52 truck, and basically what that does is pack air on a spoiler, and then it lets the outside line stack up, and they'll go to the next truck. Now he needs to get down and slow that truck down, let that line build back up, and then they'll keep leapfrogging trucks. Those are big points right there for him in this stage.
You could see some strategy. Christopher Bell decided to come to pit road
company. That's the 0-2 of Tyler Young. Our championship leader Bell on pit road just before the pits closed here in the late going of stage 2. The 4 is headed to his pit box, and Hermie Sadler's there.
Yeah, Vince, the 4, we saw what the 19 of Austin Cindric was able to do. Come in, pit, get fuel, stay out. At this next stage break and restart at the front of the field. It'll be 2 right side tires only for the 4. He's down and away. The 18 finished the right side, but a little bit longer on fuel and the right front, a little bit of an issue. Finally down and away for the 18.
Well, and remember, Christopher Bell, our championship leader, came to pit road earlier and took left side tires only, so now he gets the right side tires.
Now that's a great strategy, but there's a lot of responsibility that goes onto the driver there. He can't slide his tires if they're only going to change 2. He also can't speed on pit road. A speeding penalty would kill you if you use that strategy. So it's important that the driver does his job, gets in his box smoothly. So far, it looks like everybody's done that.
Final lap of stage 2. Johnny Sauter continues to lead. And remember, he won stage 1 also.
Guys, you see Christopher Bell left side of your screen. Remember the very start of the show, I said that his crew chief, Rudy Fugle, wanted 7 points. That's all he was concerned with. I don't think he felt like he could win this stage, so why not come in and try to put himself up front like you guys were talking about, to be in position at the beginning of the 3rd stage.
Some lap traffic, thanks Phil, some lap traffic, and the leaders have to move up the track to avoid them. Sauter continues to leave it. How about Nemechek as he moves into that 6th spot? These are going to be some big stage points for John Hunter.
Certainly the stage he was looking for. We talked about how he moved to the outside. He got aggressive. He made things happen at the end of that stage and grabbed some valuable points.
Yeah, I mean, we can't even stress how valuable those points are, because the more of a cushion that he could give himself right there, the more he protects himself from an accident late in this race.
So John Hunter on the bubble capitalizes, and so does that man, Johnny Sauter. Dominant day so far at Talladega. Talladega Superspeedway. The fans are ready for a big weekend of racing. It begins today right here with the Camping World Truck Series. The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series runs here tomorrow as we look at our points earned from the first 2 stages.
Those are big points for John Hunter Nemechek. We've talked about that. Christopher Bell, he's just looking for the win. He wants those playoff points that come with the victory at the end of this race.
Yeah, and I think we saw that from Christopher Bell right there with his strategy. Obviously, he'd have loved to have won the stage, but realized he wasn't going to, and now he's put himself, when everybody pits here, he's going to put himself as the leader of this race.
Now, Vince, this is the Camping World Truck Series. This is Camping World, isn't it?
It certainly looked like it, didn't it?
Never seen more campers gathered together anywhere in my life.
Such a great atmosphere and environment for our race fans. And if you've never been to Talladega and you consider yourself, you don't even have to be a race fan, a sports fan of any type, you want to go to the biggest events at the biggest places, well, this is one you got to put on the bucket list.
This right here is the world famous Talladega Boulevard. And in the evening there, people will do karaoke, play that game where you throw those bean bags at boards, and just generally have a good time. And last night they had a big party out there. All the race car drivers were out signing autographs for the fans. It's just a great festive time.
You never know what you're going to see on the boulevard.
Guys, remember Kevin was talking about Christopher Bell coming in a couple 3 laps early before the end of the stage. Everybody will have to pit again in this final stage. So all that's going to mean is Christopher Bell's going to have to pit 2 or 3 laps before everybody else. So I think great strategy call by Rudy.
And what they'll do, Phil, is they'll get with the other spotters and make sure they pit with a pack. No one will press their gas all the way to the end, so he'll be able to pit with other trucks. It will become a non-issue other than he's getting ready to be leading this race.
Yeah, it gives him that track position. Well, there's the 51 of Myatt Snyder, top of your screen, heading to the pit box, and Caitlin's there.
Yeah, he's making his 6th truck start so far this season for Kyle Busch Motorsports. Getting a lot of coaching from his crew chief and spotter, saying awesome job. Focus on what you did last time on pit road will be great. 2 tires for him. Justin Haley's crew chief Kevin Bellacourt told me a lot of confidence for them coming here. They won the ARCA race here together as crew chief and driver earlier this season. 4 tires for him. Hermie.
It's been perfectly executed day so far for Johnny Sauter. This time they got 4 tires and a little bit of a wedge adjustment on the 21, but max points so far for Johnny Sauter today.
There you see 2 tires or 4 tires. The positions gained or lost. John Hunter Nemechek started this race today 8th out of 8 playoff drivers. He was on the outside looking in, and now he finds himself in the playoff picture just inside the cut line.
Let's see if we can get a word with him. He's been so impressive today, performing with all the pressure that's on him. Hey, John Hunter, it's Michael and Kevin and the boys from Fox. Do you copy?
Yeah, I got you.
What a great job today. Your back's against the wall, but you've been able to put that truck in the top 10, gather up those stage points. Do you have something under that you can go win this race now?
I sure hope so. My guys give me a great fire alarm service at Chevy. Made a little adjustment there for being able to be pushed in the outside line if we have to use it. But our goal today is just to finish this thing off strong, be smart, not make any mistakes, and try and point our way in. If we win, that's great. That's the overall goal, but we're going to run a smart race here to the finish.
It's been impressive. Keep it up, bud.
Thank you.
Well, you can run the smartest race possible, but it's Talladega. It may not matter if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Either going to be your day or it's not. Getting you ready for the final stage of the elimination race at Talladega for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Johnny Sauter has won the first 2 stages, but Christopher Bell stayed out and got to play a little strategy game with his pit stop, got some track position, so now he is at the front. And speaking of Bell, well, let's find out how the spotter coverage is helping the drivers worry less. Spotter coverage brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Well, we sent your JBL helmet for Martinsville. We sent it to RE, and they're going to pipe MRN into it so you can know what's going on with everybody else during the race, so we don't have to update you as much. So I don't know if I'll have it done before the end of this race. We can change helmets on the last pit stop, but we'll have it by Martinsville.
Liberty Mutual spotter coverage, of course, being sarcastic there. I think there's a good look at the spotters in regards to maybe what Christopher Bell's wanting to know from an information standpoint. As a driver, do you want that information, or are you just as to where you sit in the point standings, or you just want to go?
Well, it sounds to me like Christopher Bell might be a little bit like me, because when somebody spins out or wrecks or there's something going on, I already have it in my head as to what's going on for the weekend when I get there. So I want to know what just happened, but I think for me, I'd rather not have a constant update of you're this many points ahead, or this guy's in or that guy's out. I think you want to focus on what you're doing and let the crew chiefs and the engineers have everything that they have up on the pit box of the constant running order and the points and everything that goes with it. So Christopher's in a pretty comfortable spot, so he probably wants all the information because it doesn't matter. Phil?
Yeah, guys, I was keeping an eye on Tyler Young in the 02 truck because he was having a great run running up in the top 10 when Christopher Bell came to pit road before the end of that second stage. Tyler Young came with him. Same exact strategy. Remember, Tyler Young doesn't run all the races. Points don't mean anything to him. So I asked Chad Kendrick, I said, what's the deal on this tire here? He said, well, Tyler was a little bit aggressive getting to pit road. He said that really cost them from being on the lead up. They would have been running second, but they had to take the waiver on there at the back of the pack right now.
Talked about that earlier, how it's important to be precise. You can't mess up on pit road, it'll cost you your strategy. That was the case there.
The final stage is green at Talladega with Christopher Bell out front. That's his KBM teammate Myatt Snyder on the outside.
And Johnny Sauter's trying to push him along. Sauter's been out front this whole race. He finds himself back in the 4th position. And remember, Kevin, he can't see out the mirror because of the flap on his deck lid. But the deal is on that out front, that isn't a big deal. He gets back in traffic, it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be hard to defend and be in front of the guy that's behind you in trying to anticipate his move. So it's definitely a challenge, but I don't think that flap has come up yet. But now you see the 4 and the bottom line guys kind of get separated along with the top line. So it'll be whichever line forms up the closest with the most trucks that'll get that launch out in front eventually.
Sauter's got a good push on the back of Snyder. Snyder's able to inch ahead of the 4 truck down on the bottom. That's Christopher Bell.
Now remember, Johnny Sauter in that pink truck, there's the defending series champion Myatt Snyder in front of him, who Sauter is pushing. This is just his 7th career start. Not very experienced at this kind of racing, although he did run the season opener at Daytona.
Yeah, but Vince, there's nothing that could prepare this young man for this situation. Trying to get a push from Johnny Sauter in the back. You can see all the aerodynamics that's going on there. Snyder makes it by, and Sauter comes with him.
Myatt Snyder to the front, the leader at Talladega.
Yeah, and I guess you could say that this is trial by fire. and the experience that he's getting, but there really is no better experience than when you have a guy like Johnny Sauter behind you in the 21 truck that has years upon years of racing experience, and you're out there being pushed by him and getting and knowing that it's pretty safe with the guy behind you, that he knows what he's doing.
I tell you, that 13 truck has been loose today. We've seen him sideways a couple of times, and he's trying to push out front with a big shove from the 75 of Parker Kligerman.
Kligerman, a former winner here at Talladega, won in 2012, and he's trying to give Cody Coughlin a push so they can get to the front.
Watch this duo here. This has been edgy at best.
It's amazing the speeds they're running and how much those trucks are moving around. Look at Kligerman on the outside. Give this 13 a push. Now, is Kligerman locked on that back bumper a little bit too long?
Well, NASCAR has the same video that they can take a look at and make sure that he isn't locked to him. It looks like he's bouncing on and off the 13 truck, like Kevin explained earlier. A perfect job. Those two are going to get split up, maybe?
Snyder on the inside, and Coughlin still trying to finish the job and get the lead on the outside with help from Kligerman.
And I can tell you, Parker Kligerman is doing one heck of a job of coming on and off of that 13 truck. Like Vince said, you can't stay attached, but he'll get to him and he'll push him, and then he'll come off just a little bit and get right back to him. And I think the guy who's the best at that is probably Joey Logano in the Cup Series when he does the Xfinity races. But obviously everybody's been watching and learning very well.
There was a moment there, the whole front of the pack got scattered apart. As we ride along, you can see Kligerman to the front on the bottom. Coughlin's going to be behind him. Where did Johnny Sauter go?
Looked like Sauter got off the back bumper of Myatt Snyder, and that killed Snyder's run, and it enabled Coughlin and Kligerman to get past, and Parker Kligerman goes right to the front for the lead, and Stuart Friesen is on the outside making a move.
Well, we see another guy up there, Noah Gragson, who had some trouble earlier in the race and got his lap back and now is sitting there in 4th spot.
What about Clay Greenfield in that 68 truck? He's all the way up inside the top 5. This is what we told you at the beginning. Anybody can race to the front here at Talladega and have a shot at it.
Well, and you mentioned the issue that the 18 had, Noah Gragson. A loose left rear early in the race brought him to pit lane on a unscheduled stop, and now he's right back in the mix.
This is Greenfield's shining moment here. He's got that red, white, and blue stars and stripes truck right up near the front.
On board with Myatt Snyder.
And you heard him get out of the gas right there. And as a driver, you have to make that decision when you're coming up on a vehicle in front of you. And in these trucks, they catch up pretty fast. So you got to decide, do I want to let out of the gas a little bit or drag the brake? Phil?
Guys, remember we looked at the 27 and all the damage he had from that earlier incident, but that's the 3rd truck in line on the outside. You guys said it, just because you have some damage doesn't mean that you can't go to victory lane here at Talladega.
No, and he's in a great spot, Phil. He's got some good momentum up there, pushing along. Stuart Friesen's driven to the front, Hermie.
It's been really fun to watch this team and driver over the last couple of weeks slowly build into a contending race team. This is a dirt track veteran, won many races all over the country, and now he is out front at Talladega, a 2.66 mile super speedway, and he's out front. This is his first ever start in the truck series at this racetrack, and he's doing a great job today.
Friesen finished runner-up at Eldora on the dirt where he's comfortable, but he also had a top 5 at New Hampshire, 5th place there just a couple of races ago. In fact, our playoff opener. He has done a nice job, and they've got an alliance with GMS, and that's really given this team a shot in the arm.
Well, and right now he's living up to his nickname, the Iceman there. My son Keelan calls him Ice Friesen, and the Iceman is looking pretty cool out front.
You know what I think's interesting? How many times Eldora reminds me of Talladega. I mean, these trucks are 3 and 4 wide at Eldora. You never know who's going to be able to fight their way to the front. That's the same situation here in Talladega.
There's the way our points are currently shaking out as we look at our playoff leaderboard. Briscoe and Gralla on the wrong side of the cut line. John Hunter Nemechek on the bubble.
Well, I tell you what, Briscoe was a lot further behind not too many laps ago. He was 11 points behind, and well, he was 3 points behind the last lap, and John Hunter gained a spot. Now he's 4 points behind, so that's going to continue to change, but every point is important.
By the way, the 75 of Parker Kligerman has been warned by NASCAR not to stay on that bumper of Stuart Friesen too long. We're going to break, but you won't miss a thing.
Connect to nature. Connect to excitement. There is nothing like the great outdoors. Getting together with close friends, relaxing, and enjoying each other's company. So what are you waiting for? Get on the road today with Camping World. Now is your time to make new memories. America's #1 RV dealer can get you started with 2018 travel trailers for only $114 a month during the year-end savings event. Visit your local Camping World Supercenter or shop campingworld.com today.
I want you to take it easy. Go slow.
Come on, Mom.
Work, 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 Sinora, work your body liner. Work, 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 Sinora, work it all the time.
Let's go. Mom!
For the ones who keep pushing, always unstoppable.
This is the 2017 NASCAR playoffs, and it only gets harder from here.
Trouble turn 4.
16 drivers have been traveling along this perilous path. Long and winding, filled with the unknown.
3 cars now, 4 cars.
And after this road to ruin,
Big wreck. Wow.
only one deserves to call themselves champion. The 2017 NASCAR playoffs.
The NFL is on Fox with a clash of old foes and the rise of a new force.
What a weapon.
Sunday, a showdown is set in the NFC North as Aaron Rodgers leads the Packers against the Vikings. Or the Rams have emerged as one of the league's best. Now Jared Goff and Todd Gurley square off with Blake Bortles and the battle-hardened Jaguars. It all begins Sunday at 1 Eastern on Fox. Check your local listings.
We've been dominating week in and week out.
Christopher Bell, and he closes the door with a dominating performance. Back to Talladega, and as you saw during the commercial break, an accident involving 4 trucks, including this 88 of Matt Crafton, one of our championship contenders, and even the heaviest damage was to the 8 of John Hunter Nemechek, who's currently right there around the bubble in regards to the playoff leaderboard. Hermie?
A lot of damage to the center of the nose of the 88, the right front fender and the right front hood area. They a lot of attention to the right side. That black tape they're using, we call it bear bond. It's the best way to try to piece one back together at a place like Talladega, but they're trying to beat the hood down, but they may have to come back in and actually take the hood pins out and regroup on that, but that is just trying to knock it down, as you can see, but a lot of damage, mostly right side, right front area of the 88.
Well, the good news for the 88 of Crafton is the fact that because of the points he's accumulated during the first 2 stages of this race, he has secured one of those 6 spots in the second round of the playoffs. So whereas this could have really been detrimental to his playoff hopes, not so much because of what he got done in the first 2 stages.
And the same is the case for Johnny Sauter. He is now officially into the next round. You can see there our points indicate in the yellow colors the 4 guys that will go on. However, John Hunter Nemechek is in a real bind here. I don't think they have enough time to effect the repairs. He only has 5 minutes on pit road on the crash clock to fix his truck and get it up to speed. And there's just a lot of damage to that left front, Kevin.
Yeah, and it looks like it's blowing in right there, so it's just going to be a matter of how long he can go at and reach minimum speed. Once he reaches, if he can reach minimum speed, it'll take that 5-minute clock and wipe it out, basically, so that he can come and do whatever he wants for as much amount of time as he wants to on pit road.
Guys, remember we talked about the pit window being somewhere between 34, 36 laps. When these guys come by again, there's only going to be 38 laps to go. I think this caution will last long enough that these guys will come to pit road for hopefully the final time.
And a lot of them are doing just that, Phil. Our leader, Stuart Friesen, Kligerman, some of those guys stayed out, but the majority of the field is coming to you.
Yeah, Christopher Bell, Myatt Snyder, Noah Gregson, the 3 KBM trucks. Snyder's in, Caitlin's there.
Yeah, and he's got an experienced pit crew with him today. That's the 77 Cup crew for Eric Jones pitting. They're going to do fuel only for 51. Hermie.
It's going to be fuel only and a track bar adjustment on the 4 for Christopher Bell. Waiting on fuel a little bit. It'll be off the end of pit road, barely beats the 13, but they realize how important the line you are in on the restart and how important the launch is on the restart. They've talked about that on the radio for the 4. Also the 8, John Hunter Nemechek back down on pit road. A lot of focus on the left front fender area for John Hunter Nemechek. Very sensitive area on these trucks.
What jumps out at you as you look at the damage on that 8 truck?
Well, the biggest thing that jumps out is when he was driving around, it looked like that fender was flopping in towards the tire, and you just don't want the tire to blow out.
Here's how it happened.
Oh, Ben Rhodes clips, was that Rhodes in the 27? I couldn't tell for sure, but he clipped Clay Greenfield in that beautiful red, white, and blue truck, and around Greenfield win, and that collected Nemechek.
Boy, Nemechek didn't have anywhere to go. You see him behind the 88.
That was indeed Rhodes that tried to go in a hole that Greenfield closed, and it collected those other trucks.
Yeah, and he just had such a huge rate of speed as he was coming up on him there. It just caught him right there going into the corner. And we talked about it earlier, being off-centered. He caught him in the left rear and just immediately turned him.
Well, and remember when we talked to him after that second stage, and he said, I just want to run a smart race. I just want to keep it clean. And we talked about the fact that you can run smart, but sometimes you're just a victim of somebody else's situation, and that's exactly what happened with John Hunter Nemechek.
Yeah, and that's just the case here at Talladega and Daytona. You can run all day and have everything go your way, and it just takes one mistake by somebody else, wrong spot, wrong time, and this happens.
Matt Crafton had a ringside seat for that tussle.
They're wrecking behind you. They're wrecking behind you.
Very fortunate for the 45 truck of Self there. You see him get clipped on that corner, but he was able to keep it going straight.
Yeah, a few more inches and he would have been turned right into the wall.
So Nemechek, Crafton, Greenfield, and Regan Smith all involved. The final stage at Talladega. Under caution at Talladega in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series playoff elimination race. About 36 laps to go as we take a look at our Ford track facts. A couple of the Ford drivers for Brad Keselowski Racing, Austin Cindric and Chase Briscoe. Briscoe had an issue early, had to go to the garage, was 10 laps down at one point, but that doesn't mean that his playoff hopes are coming to an end. He's still right there in the mix, 7 points on the outside right now.
And that's considering where John Hunter is right now, and he's got some serious damage to his number 8 truck. And by the way, Briscoe's getting ready to pick up a position on Regan Smith. Smith's out of the race, off the track, so that'll be one more valuable point. This is going to go right down to the wire, it looks like. It'll be interesting, Kevin, to see if they made good enough repairs to the 8 that he can keep up with his draft, get off the caution clock where he doesn't have to be has to get his work done in less than 5 minutes, and he can go to work on it again on the next caution.
Yeah, I think the biggest concern that you have when you're the team at this particular point, obviously you don't have a lot of time, but the biggest concern you have is not having a tire rub. If he can not have a tire rub, I believe he'll meet minimum speed, so we'll just have to wait and see if anything rubs.
How much of that damage, how does that impact the handling of the truck from inside the seat?
Oh, it's going to handle not near as good because the left front fender's torn off and there's a lot of things that are torn up on it, but really it's just about minimum speed and trying to minimize the damage, because right now he's in by 7 points. So if they can not have catastrophic failure here with a tire or something and have something go wrong, he's still got a pretty good shot of making the playoff to the next round.
Hermie?
Want to update the 18 again, Vince, real quickly. Noah Gragson went from a lap down back to the front, but is still having an issue with the left rear. Remember, early on they had an unscheduled pit stop. This last time down pit road, they put a wheel spacer on the left rear to make the lugs go on a different set of the stud to try to find out what that vibration is. They're trying to finalize and find out what's going on with this 18.
It's a big restart for John Hunter Nemechek and Chase Briscoe. Those guys, their playoff lives depend on the trucks being up to par. We'll see what happens.
Stuart Friesen on the inside, Parker Kligerman, a former winner here on the outside. Green is out, racing again in the final stage at Talladega.
I love that move Haley made. He was able to get to the bottom. That not only got him the second position, Kevin, but it put him right in front of his teammate, Johnny Sauter.
Christopher Bell giving a push to the 75 of Kligerman. Oh, Friesen gets out of shape.
Well, we saw that inside line. We saw Friesen kind of get 3 or 4 car lengths in front of the truck behind him, and that allowed those 3 trucks on the outside to get bumper to bumper, and 2 of them out to the lead.
Myatt Snyder on the outside lane.
You don't want to be on the outside lane.
That's him in that 51.
The only way you want to be out there, Vince, is if you make it happen. If you jump up there and get some push.
Help's coming your way. It's not there yet. Inside.
Whoa.
Yeah, and that was just...
Come on, hurry.
That was just Friesen coming up to get a side draft off, and the truck on the top just kind of came down just enough to where he got loose and hit him in the right front, and Friesen luckily saved it.
Regan Smith, one of the 4 drivers involved in that most recent accident that brought out the caution, has been checked and released from the care center. All the trucks involved that also have been cleared from the 5-minute clock.
And that's big.
There's the damage of Nemechek.
That's big for Nemechek. He's now back in position to grab that last playoff spot.
Well, and what's interesting is Regan Smith is the only truck in front of Chase Briscoe that's off the racetrack. So Briscoe is, like you said, going to get around Regan Smith, and that's going to put John Hunter Nemechek and Chase Briscoe tied.
So here come some of those front runners to pit road, including the driver who was leading the race, Parker Kligerman, in that 75. There's Justin Haley in the 24. Friesen and Sauter there as well, making their pit stops. It's going to take them to the end.
Well, I said Chris Fontaine would find his way to the front in that 47 truck. He was there, losing some ground on the outside, but he was right up beside Cody Coughlin, our leader. Hermie.
Johnny Sauter got 4 tires last time down pit road, so this allows this stop to be fuel only, down and away for the 21.
And the reason they came now is because that can get them to the finish. All those other drivers on track are going to have to come to pit road one more time.
And that's right. All the guys that pitted under caution were hoping that they got another caution at some point so that they could save enough fuel to make it to the end. The guys that stayed out who just pitted were the guys who are saying, all right, we don't think there's going to be a caution. We're going to come in and we're going to pit as a group here and hope that there's no more cautions for the rest of the race and this thing goes green, because now we're inside of our window, which all these trucks you see right here are not.
What do you mean? Wait a minute. 30-plus laps to go, and we're not going to have another caution? Are they really banking on that at Talladega?
Super speedway racing, you got to have a fast truck, you got to have some luck, you got to have a lot of things go your way, and you got to gamble.
That's right.
Phil?
Guys, remember when those trucks came down pit road, the first lap it was open after the caution, that was only about 2 laps outside their window. So I have to believe that those guys, as you mentioned, either would like to see another caution flag to get a little bit of insurance, or possibly they could save a couple laps.
Well, the hard thing about saving fuel here is it comes in such small amounts, Michael. As you can crack the throttle in the middle of these packs and save some fuel, but 2 laps that's basically it's over 5 miles at this particular racetrack. So I think we're at the point of the season where there's going to be some guys gamble who try to save some gas, who can stretch their fuel, but we'll just have to wait and see.
There's Johnny Sauter. You saw those trucks just ahead of our leaders. They're nearly a lap down. There's some issues on Stuart Friesen's stop here. You can see the fuel man is not getting the gas in the truck. This is very costly for Friesen. He finds himself a lap down.
And not only does it cost you from a time perspective, but you got to get that thing full to make sure you got enough to get to the end.
I don't think they're sure of that. I think they just decided they needed to go and try to hope for another caution, but gamble, like you said, Harv.
Well, but he, that mistake, he's a lap down now. So, he came disconnected from the guys that he was pitting with and fell back into the clutches of the big pack here and has wound up a lap down. But we talked about this before the race. Everything is the same here. You come to pit road, you exit pit road, but the trucks don't stop as good like they normally do. The ride heights are different, so everything just feels a little bit different here. They don't do everything quite as well on pit road, so the timing is a little bit different. That was obviously just a mistake on getting the fuel in there, but so much happens in such a short amount of time here, and when you have a mistake on pit road, it is just magnified by a whole bunch on the racetrack here.
What about that truck out front? Cody Coughlin pacing these guys. Last year's winner, Grant Enfinger, right on his bumper, pushing.
Guys, remember, Cody Coughlin has been getting better and better. Michael, we've talked about it every week. He had his best career finish 2 weeks ago at Las Vegas when he finished 6th. And right now, he's got a great head up on the spotter stand. Terry Cook, a multi-time winner here in this series, guiding him.
I'm going to go. Spencer Boyd just running in the 6th spot in that 83 truck. See him coming into the shot there.
Third start of the season for Boyd there in that 83.
That is awesome to see these guys We talked about at the top of the show how these long shots can come through at Talladega and have a chance to run up front. Clay Greenfield in that red, white, and blue truck, he was in a crash. He's back in the top 10 along with Chris Fontaine in that 47. This is just good stuff.
Well, and that's what we talk about. Talladega is just a great equalizer, and sometimes you can get some dings and dents in the fenders and still keep up.
Out front, it's Cody Coughlin. 25 to go. How about this battle for the lead? Cody Coughlin on the inside and Clay Greenfield on the outside.
How good is this? Greenfield's truck's tore up. He's getting pushed by two other trucks that have damage, and they're fighting for the lead.
Cody Coughlin, 21 years old, from Ohio, there in that bright orange 13. Had led just 3 laps before today. Spent a good amount of time out front, but now it's Grant Enfinger, last year's winner, in contact, and Coughlin goes around. Big hit for Coughlin and Fontaine and others involved. And there's John Hunter Nemechek. Looks like he has escaped. But Coughlin did not. Myatt Snyder with some smoke has obviously been involved in it as well. The 29 of Briscoe. Man, look at the damage Fontaine had. Such a good run.
Man, you just see the tight racing, and Kevin, as every lap winds off, they get more aggressive with the side drafting. Had guys that, quite frankly, haven't run at the front a lot this year, and they could taste the lead here at Talladega.
Well, that's the mentality that you have coming here, especially when you hadn't won a race all year. You know that this is your opportunity, and you're willing to take more risks than you are at other places, because you know you can make something happen by pushing and shoving and getting yourself in position up front and up in front of the pack. So these guys were doing everything they can to try to get to the front and stay there.
Coughlin was leading and then lost his momentum, got swallowed up a little bit, and when he got back in the pack, then we saw the contact, and they're going to stop the trucks along the front straight there just before the tri-oval while the cleanup begins.
It was an awesome move by Christopher Bell. He was able to get to the middle and around Coughlin and in behind Enfinger, and that cost Cody all of his momentum, like you said, Vince. And then when you start to slow in the middle of the pack, guys have to make evasive action around you, and that's when you see issues.
Chris Fontaine, good to see him climb from the truck, but obviously needing some medical attention.
Well, this all started when we were coming off of turn 4, and Grant Enfinger went around Cody Coughlin, and they started to get 3 wide.
Here's you called it, Kevin. Now watch Bell. He gives Enfinger a push. They're clear of this, but now here comes Gregson, 3 wide up the middle, and this has to be where problems started. Yeah.
Myatt Snyder looked like he got into the back end of the 13 and spun him.
Well, what happens is that bottom lane here through the tri-oval is much flatter than the rest of the lanes going up. And when you're in the middle, you're already in a bad spot because the back end of your truck starts to want to wiggle around. But what you saw there was Myatt Snyder was in the middle, and it looked like he came up the racetrack there, and as he went, he got loose right there, and then he just touched the back of the 13 in the right rear, and the 47 came down, and it all broke loose there.
You can see briefly up in the air was the 13 truck, and he settled right back down. The aerodynamic flaps you see on that bed, Vince, those flaps opening up, that's helping to evacuate the air from under the truck and set it back down.
Like they served their purpose.
I can see why Fontaine was slow. Wow, that was a heavy hit for him. I just think Snyder tried to get into a hole, got a little bit loose, and clipped Cody Coughlin.
Yeah, when you're in the middle like that, you know how it is, Michael. It's just you have to be so much more careful with the steering wheel and the input that you put into the right or left, because everything just becomes much easier to spin out or get loose, and the truck just is not as stable as it is in the outside or inside lanes, when the middle is a tough place to be through that tri-oval.
Almost like if you've ever had to walk on the ice, it's kind of tough to get your balance and feel secure.
Well, you see him, he kind of, I don't know if he thought the 13 was going to come back up the racetrack right there, but he kind of jerked the truck to the right. The 51 truck of Mike Snyder kind of jerked the truck to the right, and then when he went back to the left, when you put that input into the wheel to the right and then pull it right back to the left, it instantly makes the truck loose.
And watch at the back of the screen, the pink truck that's torn up. That's John Hunter Nemechek. Heavy contact by Wendell Chavis there into the Rhodes truck. Watch where Nemechek goes. He's racing to make the next round of the playoffs, and he used every bit of the available real estate there down into turn 1 to clear that mess.
Well,
don't hit me, don't hit me, don't hit me.
And that move right there is probably going to make the playoffs for him. I mean, that was just one of those moves that you don't know where the trucks are going to go, and you go with your instinct and shooting for the gap there. But those are big hits.
That's the 13 of Coughlin, and then the 47 of Fontaine. Now on board with Mike Snyder.
He sees.
Working here. Outside, outside. Outside, outside.
Yeah, he was just in trouble. You know, when he started going up the racetrack, and you could see that steering wheel, and it started going back to the right, back to the left, back to the right. He was in trouble right from the beginning.
And you can see the Coughlin truck. He lost his momentum, and that meant opportunities to get 2, even 3 wide. Snyder saw that chance, and he took it, but I think just a little aggressive with the steering. The trucks are light in this tri-oval anyway. I mean, they're even at best in the pack, you can barely hang on to them. When you try to make a quick move, it can get you in trouble.
It's good to see Fontaine climbing up into the ambulance under his own power after he climbed from the truck and then immediately took a seat and was receiving some medical attention, but obviously was able to walk to the ambulance and get in under his own power. Good sign, as you see where the trucks are stopped, as we're currently under red for this accident. It shakes up the playoff leaderboard, at least in regards to maybe giving John Hunter Nemechek a little more confidence that maybe he's going to be able to ride this storm out and make the round of 6.
He's been in a storm all day long. He came here with his back against the wall, a couple of perfect first 2 stages, got him some points, got him in a good position, and then look at that truck. Just one slip, Phil, and around he went, and his playoff chances almost went with him.
Yeah, guys, and I think this could be a huge boost for Chase Briscoe. I was just down talking to Mike Hillman Jr., his crew chief, and he says with the trucks not being able to continue, obviously Cody Coughlin and Chris Fontaine and maybe a couple others, that's going to bring them closer to John Hunter Nemechek. He thinks it'll be probably within 1 point when we get down toward the end of the race, if nobody else falls out other than these guys that are involved in this incident.
Now remember, John Hunter came in to the playoffs on the outside looking in, and Chase Briscoe was on the inside of the cut line, and now those positions have flip-flopped.
How much brain power and keyboard punching you think that group's doing, trying to make sure they understand exactly where they are? They can't really affect anything or change anything, but they certainly want to see who all will be eliminated from competition in this crash and how many of those positions will they be able to pick up.
Yeah, and most of the time they have a program that's running up on top of the pit box that'll show them as they run of who's eliminated and where you are in the points and scenarios that are all played out. So there's a lot of really smart people down there.
You got that right.
They got them all down there.
Yeah.
Up here.
They are not up here.
Currently under red because of this accident here at Talladega. Aerial coverage from Talladega Superspeedway today, brought to you by Jegs. And what a beautiful view of this massive facility. And speaking of Jegs, Cody Coughlin has been checked and released from the care center after being involved in that accident. Let's go down to pit road.
Well, Vince, Mike Hillman Jr., the crew chief for Chase Briscoe, just taking some time to talk with us. I know it's been an eventful race for you guys, a lot of back and forth, too, between the guys who are in the playoffs. You still feel like you have an opportunity here to move on?
We just can't wreck. You know, I'm just really, really proud of how hard all these guys at BKR work on this 29 Cooper Standard Ford, and we'll see what the good Lord deals us here at the end, and hopefully we can transfer through. It's kind of out of our hands. It's how much more these other guys want to wreck up here in front of us, and attrition. So we're counting points and watching how it all works out, and hopefully at the end it works out to our favor.
Good luck. They're still hoping to move on to that next round. Hermie?
Well, Jared Kennan was getting ready to speak with him. He's coming down pit road. They just put the yellow flag back on the racetrack, so waiting to see if the 8 truck is going to come down pit road. John Hunter Nemechek, they are coming down pit road. 8 or 9 spots they need to outrun the 29. They're going to work on the toe right now of the 8, Phil.
Hermie, I'm with Rudy Fugel. Rudy, you told me you could run about 34 to 36 laps. You stopped with 38 to go. Are these caution laps enough to give you the insurance to get to the end?
Yeah, it's going to be really close. I think we're good for a half a lap, but we're right there. So it depends on how much it picks up and how much he's been able to save. Not leading the pack is helping us some too. So we'll see. There's going to be more cautions. We're 24 laps of Talladega is an eternity, so we'll see what happens.
You told me you were racing for 7 points. 2 of them got away from you. You need 5 now.
Yeah, I mean, we really want to win here. We haven't won at a super speedway in a while, so I've never won at Talladega. So Christopher wants another win. It's big for this team. These guys have worked hard. Toyota works hard. So JBL, all these people. So let's go win.
All right, Rudy. Thanks.
Already 5 wins for that 4 team of Rudy Fugel and his driver Christopher Bell this season.
We don't
Work
really have
continues on the 8.
enough trucks to have many more cautions, do we, Vince?
We're going to run out of them.
Looked like that left front got bent in again. Maybe a little bit of contact in that accident here on the front straightaway. The team has gone to work there in that area.
Yeah, I think everything behind it is just gone, and I think the best thing that they could do is probably eliminate it like they did in a big portion of it right there on the left front fender. And there you see pulling the left rear quarter panel out just to keep it from rubbing on the tires. So
that's just some preventive maintenance
yeah,
there.
That's the biggest thing. You just don't want to wreck again. You don't want a tire to blow out and give away more points than what you had, because it's already going to become pretty close. And as they sit right now with John Hunter sitting on pit road, you know, he's out of the playoffs. So it's going to come down to 1 or 2 positions here as we get towards the end of this race between the 8 truck and the 29 truck as to who advances in the playoffs.
It's hard to believe that a truck in that condition is going to be out there running 180 plus miles per hour.
That's how important the draft is, Vince, and that's how much it can overcome. You had your truck behind a faster truck, and hopefully you get a good one behind you. They can literally carry you along with them.
Well, and it's all about survive in advance. There's really no stat that says that it looked pretty or it was ugly. Just figure out how to get everything you can out of your day and see where it falls in the end.
And you know, when we started this race today, Vince, there was 8 guys racing for 6 spots. 2 of them were veterans, Crafton and Sauter. The rest are kids, guys that are just getting their legs under them. That's what I love about this truck series. If you watch the Cup races on Sunday, this is where the stars are coming from. Just think about Eric Jones. He came through there. William Byron. Now we see Christopher Bell going to Xfinity. These guys are the ones that are going to be racing on Sunday afternoon. And the veterans like Sauter and Crafton are like, not so quick, young men. We're still here and we're tough.
Well, that's what makes these younger kids better, is being able to race against guys like Matt Crafton and Johnny Sauter. They learn the ins and outs of the sports. But not only is it drivers that are being developed in this truck series, but it's crew chiefs and it's crew members and it's pit crew guys. Everything in this series, all these guys want to move up and advance through the Cup level.
Hermie?
88 taking extended time on pit road to work the nose and the hood of this 88. Not only is the truck not as fast, obviously, with this damage, also very, very loose. So they also put wedge in on the 88 as well, 4 sticker tires as well, trying to salvage everything they can, every point towards the end of this race.
Crafton, one of those veterans we talked about, 41 years old from California, 2-time series champion, trying to get his first super speedway win here today. Grant Enfinger, last year's winner here at Talladega in the 98. Let's listen in.
68 is so fast, he got packed by the 88 when the 27 wrecked him, and his spoiler's laid back about 45 degrees. Here, we might want to split them KBM trucks up when it comes time to go back.
Ooh, that's interesting. Spotter observing a little bit of damage to the rear of the 68 truck that really made his truck go. I wondered how he was driving up through there with that wrecked truck. Maybe he tore it up in a good way.
Well, sometimes your truck gets tore up in a good way, and sometimes when you push that tail in, it kind of takes some drag away, and you hear him talking on the radio. If it did actually push that bumper in and pull the spoiler down, hey, sometimes it falls your way and sometimes it doesn't.
Well, remember 1 year ago, Grant Enfinger, part-time driver in the truck series, but he took it to victory lane. What a great day that was for Enfinger, his first career win, and to do it at Talladega in his home state.
What about that snarling pack behind him, Vince? They looked angry, didn't they? They were 3-4 wide coming after Enfinger, and he just did a perfect job at the end of that race.
Chase Briscoe One of those young drivers we talked about bidding for not only his first ever win in the Truck Series, but trying desperately to advance and get in the top 6 in the point standings to move on to the next round of the playoffs. When we come back, it'll be 20 to go. Right there in that range. It's going to be fun to the finish at Talladega. NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Racing on Fox is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Welcome back to Talladega. 20 to go. Currently under caution. Cleanup. It has been an eventful race, just as you would expect it to be at Talladega. We talked about in the pre-race the biggest, baddest, fastest track, and there were problems early for one of our championship contenders, the 29 of Chase Briscoe, and we saw smoke, and then that's why fluid coming from the 29. He went to the garage and at one point was 10 laps down. He's got one of those laps back, but he's still in the mix to make that final 6 and move on to the next round of the playoffs. And then this issue.
Just tight pack racing, and they're stacked so closely together. Anytime something goes wrong, the chain reaction deals you some bad cards. That's Kaz Grala. His playoff chances ended with that crash off turn 4.
Yeah, tough break for the 33 of Grala. And then Johnny Sauter won stage 1 and stage 2, and he accumulated enough points along the way to secure his spot into the next round of 6.
Working well with his teammate there, Justin Haley. They were able to drive to the front and get the lead. Big crash down in turn 4. Clay Greenfield spun around there. You can see John Hunter Nemechek, another one of our playoff contenders, involved in that crash. Greenfield spins around, crashes, and he's still in contention. How many trucks we have without damage as we can see all these crashes take place?
John Hunter Nemechek, you saw the repairs being done there, and then this one, the big one here with Cody Coughlin. And there was Greenfield involved after some contact from Myatt Snyder, Ben Rhodes. But maybe one of the big storylines of this accident, as you see Coughlin kind of get up over the top there of the 47, was that somehow John Hunter Nemechek was able to get through it all without suffering more damage, as Chris Fontaine made his way to the medical center. And you look at our race summary, Grant Infinger, our current leader, 17 trucks on the lead lap, and it may be easier to talk about who hasn't suffered damage, right? With Kevin Harvick and Michael Waltrip. What do we expect here in the final 20, Kevin?
Well, I think as you look at what's shaken out so far, I think you have to give credit to the teams, and specifically the 29 team for taking that truck to the garage, eliminating coming down pit road, and looking at it, making another lap, pushing it to the garage, and wasting a couple laps, because those couple laps might be the couple points and positions that they might need to get back on the racetrack. And then obviously John Hunter Nemechek and his team fixing that truck without blowing a tire, getting back out on the racetrack. And that's really what the playoff battle is going to come down to, is a position or two here, and it's just going to be interesting to see it play out.
I think it's cool that our pole sitter in the fastest truck in town, Christopher Bell, he hasn't suffered any damage, so you'd have to make him our favorite. But you've got Grant Infinger, who's been up front all day long driving a great race. He doesn't have any damage to his truck either. Noah Gregson, Johnny Sauter are both in great shape. So although we've had a bunch of crashes in our 4 cautions, we've got a bunch of fast trucks still left up front to settle this thing.
Well, when they take the green, there will be 18 to go here at Talladega. Christopher Bell, 5-time winner this season on the inside. Grant Infinger, last year's winner, on the outside. The green is waving, racing at Talladega.
You can see the big pushes in the front. That's what it's all about. You can't lock bumpers together, but you can certainly bump off the truck ahead of you, and that's what's going on now. These drivers trying to figure out the best way to get their line, the momentum it takes.
Behind Bell is his teammate Noah Gregson. Behind Infinger is the 21 of Johnny Sauter.
And if you're watching at home and you think, man, that's a small pack of trucks, well, the trucks that are in your frame right there are really the only ones that are left that aren't torn up.
And you know what, Kevin? A couple of them that are torn up will join this pack before it's all over.
And here they come.
Guys, remember, look at that white truck, third truck on the inside line, Tyler Young. We talked about that strategy Chad Kendrick had at the end of that stage to pit early. He got a lap down, had to take the wave around, and there he is up there battling for a top 5 spot.
And Tyler Young is crew chief. Chad Kendrick, as Phil mentioned. Kendrick was the crew chief for Parker Kligerman when Kligerman won here in 2012, and that's Kligerman in the 75, the first truck on the outside line coming in the 75.
There's the 02 of Young pushing Kligerman. They're racing on the outside of the 18 of Noah Gregson, the Las Vegas teenager.
Enfinger out front, followed by Sauter, and then Justin Haley, and then Christopher Bell.
Tell you what Sauter and Enfinger would like, about 10-15 laps of just nothing, just calm, riding around in line, logging laps to get in a position to win this thing at the end. But the rest of those guys behind them know if they're going to have a shot to win the race, they can't wait. They've got to figure out a way to form up a lane, get it on the outside, and start to race their way toward the front.
And Michael, I wonder just how much of that gap in between this front pack and then you have the middle guys there and then you have the back pack, are all those really torn up trucks together? How much are they going to be able to advance?
Well, and also a good question, I think, is how far back are you content with just riding those 10-15 laps? If you're running 4th or 5th, you're not going to win from there. So do you start to push the issue, try to make your way to the front?
Yeah, and the truck that I'm the most concerned with is right there, the number 8 of John Hunter Nemechek. If he gets too far, if he gets to be the last truck in this pack, will that truck run fast enough to keep up? Because right now he has a 1-point advantage over the 29 truck who is right beside him in the playoff points and being able to advance. But in a few laps, the 29 truck is going to leapfrog these trucks that just crashed, and he's going to gain 4 points just by passing those trucks. So John Hunter Nemechek is, if he's going to advance in the playoffs in that 8 truck, he's going to have to get by 3 trucks.
He's got to race. He's got to run like this.
But I don't know if his truck's capable enough of keeping up. As you see less and less trucks, he does not want to be the last truck in line.
Camping World 15 to go in the final race of round 1 of the playoffs. You see our point standings there at the top of the screen. Only the top 6 will advance. And right now Briscoe and Nemechek dead even for that last spot. The tiebreaker would go to Chase Briscoe. There's Nemechek in the 8.
He goes to the top side, taking them 3 wide. I think he understands he doesn't want to be the guy at the end of the line, so he's trying everything he can to progress up, but it's just not working. A lot of damage, obviously, to the 8.
Yeah, and right now he's in a bad spot right there. And I know the 15 and 10 trucks are not the fastest trucks in the field, but all those trucks being single file and him being on the outside isn't going to allow him to gain many spots.
Yeah, the 15 is DJ Kennington, the 10 Jennifer Jo Cobb.
Well, and right now he's the last truck on the lead lap, so he's in a bad spot right here.
And you can see that's reflected with our point standings. Chase Briscoe is now the owner of the final transfer spot into round 2 of the playoffs.
You know, if you'd have told Chase Briscoe at the beginning of the race today that you're going to finish 9 laps down, but you're still going to make the playoffs and the advancement into round 2, I'm not sure he would have believed you, but that's the way it has shook out so far here today. How about that 4 of Christopher Bell, Hermie?
Interesting chatter on the radio, Vince. You see difference of manufacturers running up front. You see a Toyota leading, a couple Chevys second and third, and Christopher Bell and a Toyota running 4th. He just asked his crew chief, Rudy Fugel, when he gets down to it, if the Chevys break out, do I go with the Chevys, or because we have a Toyota out front, do I need to stay here? And Rudy said, we have to go with who gives us the best shot to win.
Yeah, Hermie, you sort of hang with your buddies and the teammates and the manufacturer that you're partnered with until the end, and then you've got to go out there and win the race for your team, for your sponsors, whatever it takes to get to victory lane. That's what these drivers will do at the end.
Yeah, and a lot of that is just situational, as to where you go and what you do, as to who breaks out on the outside first or who stays with down on the inside and you have a run. All that is situational at the end, and you have to do what's best for your specific truck and your specific team at that point.
If they do break out what gives you an indication of the way your vehicle is handling, whether you're better off going with them on the outside or staying where you are?
Well, I think it depends on where you are in the line. If you're the third or fourth guy on the inside line and you see that outside line coming, you want to try to time it so that you pull up right in front of them when they have the most momentum, so that you become the first guy in that line and not give really anybody else the opportunity, so that you have a chance to win the race.
You know, and Chase Briscoe, he's just hoping there's not another accident. He doesn't need any trucks to crash with them 10 to go so that he doesn't get around them and John Hunter does. So that's the game that Briscoe's playing right now. He wants everybody to be calm, run this thing to the checkered, and he thinks he will progress through the playoffs. John Hunter Nemechek needs some spots, however he can get them.
Well, that's Crafton going past Nemechek. Nemechek on the outside of Crafton. There you see Crafton the 88, Nemechek is the 8, and just ahead of them is that 29 of Briscoe. So the 29 of Briscoe and the 8 of Nemechek, they are right on the cut line to who's going to make the next round of the playoffs.
And really in two different scenarios, because of the fact that John Hunter can make up points if he passes some lead lap trucks. Chase Briscoe is multiple laps down and to give up any more laps so that he loses any more spots.
He's about to be locked in right where he's running, and John Hunter Nemechek has a tremendous amount of upside potential front, which I think they are.
Battling for the lead, it's Johnny Sauter pulling up alongside of Enfinger. Enfinger getting the push from Christopher Bell, just what Bell was talking about with his crew chief Rudy Fugel.
Well, lap traffic, I think, played into that again. Anytime these guys have to go 3 wide around lappers, it opens up opportunity.
Well, and then you saw the 24 try to stick with his teammate of Johnny Sauter, which shows you his commitment to Johnny Sauter. And then he kind of just mistimed it there and kind of clipped the back of Johnny and got him a little bit looser than Johnny probably was expecting.
Look at that mess.
Sauter right back around the 75 of Parker Kligerman. Sauter going to try to get back up there and have a shot as we're inside of 10 laps to go.
This is going to get intense. I mean, it already is. This is going to get crazier.
And what this did, Michael, with all those guys getting side by side, it pulled that group with John Hunter and those guys right back up into the pack.
And look, John Hunter all the way up to the 13th spot right there with, like you said, Kevin, with the leaders out his windshield.
And that's what he needs. He needs to be positioned in the middle of the pack because his truck is torn up enough to where he's not capable to make a lot of moves. So if he can get himself somehow positioned in the middle of that pack better so that he can be amongst faster trucks, that'll give him a better opportunity to make up some positions on these lead lap trucks.
Look at Sauter. He's able to shuffle. Is that Gregson? He shuffled out of the line and able to drive up to the front. Oh, that was Christopher Bell he shucked. That gets rid of a really fast truck.
Gregson with a big wiggle saved it. Look at him fan out 5 wide.
Wow.
And Gregson has it in reverse, going backwards. Sauter with the push from Justin Haley to the lead, and Kligerman way down low to pass Enfinger.
You can't pass below that yellow line, so he needs to give that position up or he'll be black flagged.
That's going to be a questionable call there because, you know, with the rate of speed that he was coming, did the 98 force him down there? And, you know, obviously the 75 didn't let up, but that's going to come down to a judgment call from NASCAR as to who caused Parker Kligerman to go down there.
Johnny Sauter got shuffled out, and now he has driven right back to the front. Speaks to the power of that 21 machine.
Well, he made an awesome move through the trial events to get inside of Christopher Bell, put Bell in his rearview mirror, and grab the lead.
The other thing that Johnny Sauter has going for him is the fact that 24 stuck with him all the way through the pack.
Let's watch the 75 of Kligerman and see if he got forced down below the yellow line.
He did, but
I think he did.
I've never seen that call made. Be up to NASCAR. Usually they penalize the guy that goes out of bounds.
And now Kligerman has given a shove to Christopher Bell. Remember, Kligerman won this race in 2012. Bell's never won a super speedway race, and they are at the front with 7 to go.
Wow, off the track, back in the pack. That was Spencer Boyd sideways. Matt Crafton looks like maybe he's seen enough of this mess. He's retreating a bit.
Remember, we saw Kligerman in that pusher position earlier today, and like he's got a strong truck, and he is giving Bell a shove. And here comes Sauter trying to get back up there, but he lost his teammate Justin Haley. Haley's slipped down into the inside lane. Hermie on Christopher Bell.
just radio to his crew chief and spotter to please get the 75 off of him in the corner in the trial. So he wants a little bit of help, but he does not want to get locked up, potentially get black flagged with the 75 for locking bumpers and pushing, and he does not want to be pushed through the corners or the trial.
Well, Hermie, if the 75 listens to Christopher Bell, it'd be the first time he hasn't been pushing somebody all day long. He's been the most aggressive racer on the track, and so far he's made it work. He finds himself in a position to win this race because of his aggressive driving style.
But he's been right on the verge of disaster a couple times with those pushes. Obviously, he's got away with it up until this point, and that's what's got him there. But it's definitely been pretty dicey.
I can't imagine. I mean, imagine driving down the interstate. Caution is out with 5 to go.
Oh, I didn't need that.
Austin Wayne Self has
like
spun and then recovered it just in time to get it on pit road.
Flat right rear there. You can see the tires gone on the right rear of the 45.
I mean, imagine driving down the interstate at 65, 70 mile an hour and then just going up, and you guys can maybe imagine that, but the majority of people at home can't imagine all of a sudden just taking your car and ramming into the back end of the car in front of you and then just driving down the road for 5 or 6 miles. I mean, that's what we're seeing, except it's at 180 plus.
Yeah, and you have to make corners.
Yeah, that's the tricky part.
That's the tricky part is making it through the corner. So, you know, it's like you heard Christopher Bell talk right there. Going through the trial and going through the corners is a whole different ball game than being pushed going down the straightaways. So it's an art. It really is. It's an art, and these guys are doing it very aggressively.
There's the spin. It's an art, and some of these guys aren't artists. I mean, you can tell by the way they push. They just don't have the experience or the knowledge to know when and when not to. And they get a big run. They see the progress they're making. They're like, if a little bit's good, a lot's going to be better. And you usually see contact and an accident because of it.
Well, we've got the final laps to go here at Talladega. Certainly going to be exciting. Baseball follows us right here on Fox. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt and the guys in LA.
Well, here we are getting set for a little game 2 of the ALCS with Frank Thomas, Keith Hernandez, Big Papi, Alex Rodriguez, and I'm Kevin Burkhardt. That's right, pregame coming your way. Can the Yankees get back in it? Alex is hoping so. We will find out. See you in a few. Vince, back to you.
I'll take that lineup of players any day. Wow, what a group. Thanks, Kevin, and looking forward to getting it to you guys and some great baseball action in the playoffs coming your way here on Fox.
Yeah, but in the meantime, guys, tune into this. You're not going to believe this wrestling match we're going to have at 185 miles an hour. Christopher Bell is going to lead the pack, but he's got some hungry hounds right on his tailgate.
I've been impressed with what we've seen from Kligerman today, and as a former winner, you know that he understands what it takes to get there and win the race. And we've seen him mainly in the pushing role. I haven't seen him out front himself at all, but wouldn't be surprised if he makes this thing interesting. Phil?
Remember, guys, Christopher Bell is in the lead. He has his choice of whether he wants the inside or outside, so he can pick who he has behind him. He didn't want the 75 pushing him too much. He's going to be beside him whether he picks the inside or outside, but he can choose the 24 of Justin Haley or the 98 of Grant Enfinger for his pusher.
Yeah, I think I like the bottom and hopefully get a good pusher down there. I think that's the best case scenario.
How about the 4 of Christopher Bell and the radio communication?
I've never felt so out of control in my life.
And by the way, he's a dirt racer.
Yeah, that's a lot coming from a dirt racer.
I've seen him what I thought was way out of control before, but he doesn't have control because the truck behind him has taken over and is pushing him in places he doesn't want to be. And race car drivers are a bit of control freaks, Vince. He wants to be, you know, he doesn't want anybody else messing with him.
And that's an uncomfortable situation, Mike, when you're doing things with the truck and getting pushed by somebody that you don't really haven't raced around much and you don't really like the way that they're doing things. Sometimes it's a position that you get yourself in that you can't get out of, and that was definitely the case that Christopher Bell was in. But in Parker Kligerman's defense, he wants to keep racing. He wants to do everything he can to prove himself, and you can tell the hunger behind that steering wheel right now.
What about Clay Greenfield? You see that truck with the stars on it there on the inside of the racetrack. his finishes this year are 24th, 26th, and 29th. He can see the front. He's got a fast truck. It's bent up, but it's still running really fast. He's got a chance to win at Talladega. This cat doesn't get to race very often, but he's finding himself in a position to do something really special here today.
Yeah, in fact, he hasn't run the last 4 races. It's been a while since we've seen Clay, and it's great to have him back. Hey, remember Christopher Bell won to go at Daytona last year? Bell in that 4 truck, and watch this ride.
Now you see, that's a kid that just said he's never felt more out of control in his life. He's seen a few things in his life, racing the dirt tracks throughout the Midwest and flipping over at Daytona, but he's hungry. You heard his crew chief, Rudy Fugle, say Christopher Bell really wants another win, and they want those playoff points that come along with the win just for more insurance, getting them to Miami to battle for the championship.
Well, he wants to win on a super speedway. He wants to put a Talladega win on his resume because, you know, winning here is different than winning at Kansas or winning at Martinsville or winning at Bristol, because this is just a different style of racing. So if you can put a restrictor plate win on your resume, that means that definitely means something.
Caitlin.
Chris Carrier, crew chief for Parker Kligerman. We've seen Parker doing a lot of pushing out there. What do you anticipate to see on this next restart here out of him?
Well, I hope somebody's pushing us. We don't have many in front of us left to push. He just drove his guts out all day, you know, and that's typical Parker. I mean, that's what everybody here expects. That's what we know. It's what I've known for a long time. He's a great young man. This team is I'm just so proud of this team, everybody, him included. You know, we're not one of the mega teams, and that's fine. We don't use that for an excuse. We come every week that we can race, do the best we can. We've covered a lot of bases. We've made a lot of progress with this team. Parker's been a huge part of that. He's just he gives you a lot of information, and now we can go home and learn about a little bit more about speedway racing. Man, I tell you what, I wish I was sitting in the stands. This is good. I don't know who likes speedway racing or who likes truck racing, but ratings ought to go up here. Just keep watching, people. Keep watching. It's going to get better.
Thank you.
I don't think anybody's going to take their eye off of this, as we are officially in overtime here at Talladega. And you look at the playoff leaderboard as they run. John Hunter Nemechek and Chase Briscoe, 1 point separates them, and an opportunity to move on to the next round of the playoffs. So a couple of different races. We got the race for the win, and we've got the race for that final playoff spot.
Yeah, and Briscoe can't pick up any positions, so it's all up to John Hunter Nemechek. If he's able to grab some spots right now, he has 1 point over Chase Briscoe. He loses a position, he's out. He gains it, he's in.
Yeah, and the truck that would worry me is the 52 truck of Stuart Friesen, because he got his lap back and can make ground with a good truck.
Christopher Bell on the inside, Parker Kligerman on the outside. The green flag's waving. We're in overtime at Talladega.
Bell picked the high line. I like the bottom, and it looks like the bottom's going to work early, but can Bell rebound up top?
Well, the thing I don't like is that gap from Grant Enfinger in the 98 truck, the second truck on the top, to the truck behind him, and all those trucks on the bottom were formed up. So we'll just have to see if that top line can ever make up ground.
It's Chase Briscoe on the outside there, getting a little help, but the battle is at the front, and it's Parker Kligerman with some help from Grant Enfinger.
Yeah, that truck pulling out in the middle allowed that top lane to stay formed up and broke the momentum of the bottom lane. And, you know, the top lane was able to get right out in front of those guys when they started getting scattered.
Sauter jumps to the outside, hoping that he gets some help. They're coming through the tri-oval to the white flag. Kligerman by a nose over Enfinger as they cross the line in the final lap, and contact. And a big crash.
And John Hunter Nemechek sneaks through.
And the 8 of John Hunter Nemechek escapes, and it's going to be Parker Kligerman. For the second time, a winner at Talladega. That small team, and there's Chris Carrier. He said it. We're not one of the mega teams. He said, don't take your eye off of it. You won't want to miss it. And wow, Parker Kligerman does it.
All the way checkered, and then he should be on the apron.
What's so awesome about this, Vince? At the top of the show, we said, how do you win this race? You go. you're aggressive. And if you had to give an award for the most aggressive driver today, you would give it to Parker Kligerman, and he's also going to get the checkered flag.
Absolutely. I mean, he earned that race today by being aggressive, and he got away with all the moves, and the trucks that are around him that he was pushing didn't spin out a wreck or collect anything, and he made a lot of that happen by being aggressive.
His second career win, and they've both come right here at Talladega.
That crash was exactly what Chase Briscoe didn't want to see, because it enabled John Hunter Nemechek to pass those trucks as they were crashing and grab those valuable points.
Look at the damage on that truck of Nemechek.
Well, and he's going to finish 6th. You know, he made it through all that, and is going to wind up finishing in 6th spot. And like we said earlier, it doesn't matter how pretty it is. It just matters what the results look like.
I didn't know how long they were going to make it, Vince, but I knew there was no way they were going to make it all the way to the checkered flag. Watch this restart. Watch how aggressive these racers are.
Well, you see the 3 trucks on the bottom that were formed up, and 3 is going to be better than 2, and the 51 is going to come into this mix. But when it all gets shaken up is when the 24 truck, the second truck in line on the bottom, pulls up into the middle right here. It's going to break. The bottom line is going to take off, but it's going to break all the bottom line's momentum when he pulls out right here.
And then look at the push right to the front. The 24 gets out of position in the 75.
And then Johnny Sauter couldn't make up his mind that he needed to go with the 24. I don't think he liked what he saw there. He thought his best chance was to hang low and did just that. That ended the chances for the 24 to win. But look at the door it opened for Sauter. He makes a great run there, but no one followed him.
Yeah, and I think the 24 was really expecting Johnny Sauter to go with him there as he broke out, and that just didn't happen.
9 of the last 10 races here at Talladega. The final lead change has happened in the last couple of laps. Happens again today as you see the carnage before they could get to the finish. On the white flag lap, the heavy damage, and Parker Kligerman gets to the front and will park it right underneath the flag stand and celebrate a victory at Talladega. Here's one of those moments we talked about earlier in the show today.
Well, Parker's a guy that he wants to be racing. He obviously is working with the NBC folks and doing a great job covering the sport on Sundays and Saturdays with the Xfinity racing. But, you know, I think deep down, Mike, I think he still wants to race. And I think a lot of that showed today with him behind the wheel and how aggressive he was in knowing he needed to win this race.
How about the winning crew chief, Phil?
I am here with Chris Carey. Chris, you told us just a few moments ago that this is a small team. Well, I guess the good news is Victory Lane won't be that crowded, then, will it?
Well, we got a lot of people here. They come from everywhere on race day, but I'm just extremely proud of what this whole group has done. I'm glad to be a part of it, small part of it. You know, the biggest thing is the Food Country USA business that's been in business for 70-some years now. You know, that's just a testament to what we need more of in America. But they supported this race team. They keep going. We do what we can do. We pay our bills. We try to get the priorities right. Don and Charlie, Debbie, everybody, been fantastic. I can't say enough about Parker, though. I mean, that young man, I met him about 9 years ago, I think now, maybe 8. I knew from the start when he was a 17-year-old whoppy-haired kid that, you know, this is what he's able of. What a race, man. What a race.
Great job, Chris Carey, going to Victory Lane. Hermie.
Well, Phil, I got John Hunter Nemechek, and the only word that can come to mind for you and your race team today was gutty. What a performance by your race team. All the adversity, everything you overcome, your emotions as you advance in the playoffs.
I'm excited. I would have never thought that we would have finished 6th after the day that we had, but can't thank all my guys enough. They never gave up, and that's all you can ask for. Have to thank Fire Alarm Services, the good Lord. Never lost faith. We were talking last night, and we said a long prayer to try and make it into the next round. So this is awesome to be able to advance after the luck we've had. So we're looking forward to next week.
John Hunter Nemechek, he stays in the game, and he's advancing in the playoffs.
Wow. With that truck, a 6th place finish, and when you see that excitement and that relief, that's the other end of the spectrum right there, where Chase Briscoe knows that his chances to be champion this year are over.
They had an issue early in the race, put them 10 laps down. Were able to come back out of the garage and run to the end, but he comes up just a little bit short. As you look at our 6 that will advance to the second round of the playoffs. Phil is with Chase Briscoe.
Sure, Chase Briscoe, what an outstanding season, and gosh, looked like you were doing everything you needed to do, and then had that smoke.
Yeah, it's just you know, it's part of it. It's just part of the situation that we're dealing with the playoffs, obviously, and you got to go perform. And honestly, if we run better at Loudon, this doesn't happen. But obviously, the good Lord's got a bigger plan. I'm not sure what that is. As much as this sucks right now, you know, still got to be grateful and just fortunate enough to be running race cars for a living. So I got to think big picture. But yeah, it definitely sucks. Really wanted to get Brad his first championship. Obviously, Austin still got a shot, but we still got some races to win, and that's what we're trying to do.
All right, buddy. Great job this season.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Caitlin.
Well, for the second time, Parker Kligerman finds himself here in victory lane in a truck. Big celebration down here for him and the crew. And Parker, your crew chief was very complimentary of you, of this team, small operation. How special is this one for you?
Oh, it's incredible. Chris Carey, everyone who got part of this, Henderson Motorsports. That's Chris. Charlie Henderson, they've been one of the longest running teams in NASCAR. Food Country USA, here's Mr. Charlie Henderson. The owner, Scott makes happen. That's right. Thanks, buddy. Glad we came, right? Debbie, and you know, we had a special decal on here for Peggy Miller, who was Chris Carrier's mother-in-law, and she recently died, but she was a cancer survivor of breast cancer and created a support group, which was a great big deal in Abington, Virginia. And so this one's for all the breast cancer survivors and cancer in general. So, and also, it's not very aggressively average, but my YouTube channel is back there, which it is aggressively average, but this win is awesome, so that's great.
How aggressive did you feel you had to be behind the wheel of this truck to fight tooth and nail for this win?
Yeah, a lot of breath. Jeez, I'm out of shape, right? Got to race all these kids, but you know, it was just crazy. Every move worked, and it's just sometimes they click, and that's what, like those last 10 laps, no matter if I went high and I separate a pack or I was trying to get the bump in the run, every move just worked, and sometimes they go your way, and that was awesome.
Congratulations.
When he won here in 2012, he led just 2 laps. He wins again today. He leads the last 2 laps, 3 laps total.